It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Sunday morning, time to talk cars for the next 60 minutes on your weekly automotive experience. I'm Nick Miles. You're listening to America's automotive radio show. This is Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. This morning's team of misfits, rapscallions, and ne'er-do-wells include Zhenya the intern, Sean Walker, Old Man Brad, and Oli the Volvo Viking seller. Good morning, team.
Good morning.
They're all just about awake, I think.
Can I change the moniker?
To?
Seasoned veteran.
Seasoned veteran?
Seasoned veteran.
Well, you don't like Old Man Brad?
Well, beats the alternative of Dead Man Brad, but, you know.
All right.
What about vintage or classic?
Vintage, classic.
Classic.
Yeah, retro.
Retro. I kind of like retro. Does retro mean 40 years ago?
Possibly.
All right,
then
it
it's got to be
works.
older than that.
It does? All right, how old are you? Come on now.
I'm nearing 60.
All right, yeah, I mean, that's not old.
No. I don't think
it used to be old, but it's not old now. The closer I get.
60's the new 40.
It's
right?
the new 21, I think.
It's so funny that those people that constantly say 50 is the new 20 or whatever, they're people that are just approaching 50. It's just denial.
20 is the 20.
People need to understand denial is not a river in Egypt. That's what it is. All right, let's talk about vehicles we've been driving this week on the show. I've had the opportunity to be in the Mazda 6, which is a four-door family sedan. Got to say, the styling of this car is absolutely outstanding. Mazda did a great job in the vehicle. It looks very coupe-like, large intake at the front for air, which is called the grille to most people. It does look like a smooth, responsive, powerful vehicle, which it happens to be. Quick acceleration, excellent fuel economy, sporty handling, well-built interior, high-quality materials, and, of course, looks stylish, as we've been saying. The ride quality may be a little firm for some people, and I'd like to see a few engine upgrades, maybe a bigger engine in this vehicle. Look, it's adequate to drive, but you know what? The more cars you drive, the more la-di-da I get, the more power I want. That's kind of how it works. It actually has a 2.5 litre four-cylinder, 184 horsepower, adequate, but not quite enough to impress people when you drive with them in the car. 6-speed auto, 6-speed manual. Like the fact they still do a manual, and just comes in a front-wheel drive right now. 31 miles a gallon, 26 is the combined, 26 city, 38 highway. Automatic gets 29 combined, which is 25-37. And also they get some good mileage. I'm not quite getting that amount of mileage because I do have a heavy foot traditionally. It competes with the Ford Fusion, the Toyota Camry, the Subaru Legacy, the Nissan Altima, Kia Optima, Honda Accord, and Hyundai Sonata. Interestingly enough, it also competes with the Chrysler 200 in there as well. 3 different trim levels: Sports, Touring, and Grand Touring, and starts at $22,315. Like this car a lot. Would say that the ups in this vehicle are the exterior styling and the drive. The down is the engine power. Nissan Murano is the other vehicle I've had a chance to be in for a week or so. Got to say, this is clearly my favorite in class. Competes with vehicles like the Ford Explorer, the Lexus RX, if you're looking at luxury, Touareg, Grand Cherokee, that kind of size vehicle. Really do love the new exterior styling. Of course, Murano was always kind of that edgy vehicle that was kind of different styling, and they've tried to continue that with a new styling. 5-seater, mid-size premium crossover. It's not a luxury. A spacious upscale interior, very nicely done. Comfortable seats, new balance between power and fuel economy, and a very, very pleasant ride. It's not as sporty as its predecessor, although I do like the styling a lot better. A 3.5 V6, 260 horsepower, CVT transmission, which I will also tell you Nissan have absolutely mastered the CVT transmission. A lot of other people struggling with that CVT transmission, not able to get it where they need it to be, but Nissan definitely mastered that. It does come in a front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive. 24 miles a gallon is what you expect, 21 city, 28 highway. And it comes in 3 different levels, the S, the SV, the SL, and the Platinum. Starting price, $29,560. Brad.
Well, I got a chance to drive the brand new, and I don't think too many people have seen this car around, the 2015 V60 Cross Country. Now, the wagon love is only beat by my minivan love, because I love that car. Now, this is not to be confused with the XC60, which is more of an SUV type vehicle. So it's really a crossover, and this is one of the most beautiful Volvos, and the interior is really where the Volvo shines on the S60, and then it's V60 Cross Country. So what's Cross Country is 2.6 inches higher. It's really their off-road type wagon. Question is, I tried to find some snow or somewhere to go off-roading, but we've had such glorious weather that I couldn't find anything.
I can help you with that. I know plenty of places you can take it some mud bogs. Volvo might not like it.
Yeah, and so the question is it really an off-road vehicle, and is it more its stature? But it drives great. It's got the T5 engine with the 5-cylinder, 250 horsepower. Gets you 23 miles per gallon on an average. But its price is $41,940 for the Premier and $45,590 for the Platinum. Its biggest competitor may be itself. As you walk into the Volvo dealership, which car do you buy? Do you buy the XC70? There's 3 or 4 different Volvo choices that you can get. And, Oli and I were talking before, there's just so many choices. What would you choose?
It's really tricky, and it's different from an insider when I just deal with Volvos all the time, but what you're asking is, like, compared to the XC70, you have 2 wagons that have kind of off-road capability, a little more ground clearance, what you choose. And, it's different for me. I just think that the V60, even the smaller one, or the XC, it's just it's a little bit different dynamic. It's a little more nimble. It's a little smaller. You have the turbo, and one thing you noticed was starting price, but with the XC70, you can get one in a front-wheel drive, and then there's a couple different engine choices before you get to the all-wheel drive or the turbo. Where the V60 just have one drivetrain. But I think just kind of the newer tech, the V60 is a much newer platform than the XC70. The XC70 is a little bit bigger. And, where I don't think it's a big difference in size, somebody else might.
All right, good. How much is the starting price, Brad?
The starting price on the Cross Country is $45,000.
All right, well, that's a pretty hefty price.
That's for the Premier, excuse me. It's $41,940.
All right, at least it starts just over $41,000. All right, Shania, what have you been test driving this week?
So in my video game, I managed to...
We give him a hard time for not saying in my video game, so he's now prefacing his...
Well, that's because I've been driving a car that doesn't really exist. Well, I've been driving the Infiniti Q50 O-Road concept, and Infiniti debuted this car back last year, and they made it as an M3 fighter, and it's an absolute brilliant car. It has the all-wheel drive system from the Q70, which still is brilliant. It has 560 horsepower from a 3.8-liter V6 lifted out of the Nissan GTR, and it sends the Q50 to 60 in just over 3 seconds. It's an absolute great-looking machine. It looks like it's out to kill, and this thing is like a 4-door sedan, 4-wheel drive rocket ship. It's just brilliant.
Cars that they will never build, or will they?
No, they said Nissan Infiniti have said that they're not going to build it, as far as we're concerned.
So it's just an experiment.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's sad because it's just such a brilliant car, and it would just be great if Infiniti.
Unfortunately, if car companies built cars that were just brilliant, what would end up happening is they wouldn't sell anything, because we all go, yeah, it's brilliant, but I can't afford $80,000 for a 4-door family sedan, or for a small CUV, or for whatever it might be. Oli, deal of the week.
2015 and a half XC60 T5 all-wheel drive, 7,000 miles for $36,500. It's actually the first 5-cylinder XC60 that we've had coming off, being pre-owned. So
if you're looking for yourself or if you're looking to get a CUV, where do they go to find out more information?
You can go to dlrnordic.com. You can see our full inventory there. And so this is the XC60, the SUV, not to be confused with the review we just did on the V60 XC.
Is that a good deal?
It is a good deal.
And how much less than you would expect to pay?
If you build the car, same options. It's navigation, heated seats. You're looking at mid-43.
All right. So
only 7,000 miles. That's just barely
It's like
touched.
break-in miles, right?
Well, it's not even due for its first oil change yet.
Yeah, there you go. All right, good deal. DLRnordic.com is where you go and find that. Coming up, we're going to talk about a brand new Honda, which is on the market very soon, matter of months, the HRV. Got to spend 3 days with that in Miami and finding out how this is one of the most important cars for them in the future. We're also going to talk about the Salem Roadster Show, find out when that goes on, what it's about, and how you get tickets and go yourself with your family. 17-year-olds, by the way, and under are free to that show. And we'll have our quiz. That's all coming up on this morning's Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. Good morning to you. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Welcome back to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL, Automotive Radio, live from our studios in downtown Portland. For all the latest automotive news, follow us on Twitter at TestMiles.
Hey, Nick, here's a fun fact you can go and impress your friends with. The Fiat 500 won the 2008 European Car of the Year award. The first year Fiat won the award was with the Fiat 124, and that was in 1967.
We have more with Fiat coming up in the show, by the way. Well, I'm not going to blow the surprise. So when Honda break out a new compact vehicle, we're all very impressed, which they're doing. The modern company Honda, was born in the 1940s when Mr. Honda had the idea of using a small engine to power a bicycle. The fuel tank was made of a hot water bottle. Now Honda make over 14 million internal combustion engines a year. The second largest automobile manufacturer in Japan and the 8th in the world. Now, they have their element going on with small vehicles. They are pretty untouched with motorcycles and untouched with small vehicles. And when Honda introduced the HRV subcompact entry-level vehicle in Miami this year, I was lucky enough, or last week, I was lucky enough to be there. Spent the day driving through the Everglades with the new vehicle. Joining us on the phone, Chris Martin, Regional Public Relations Manager for Honda. Chris, welcome to Test Miles. Is the HRV important to Honda?
Yeah, it's very, very important to us because it's a whole new segment. It's a new segment for multiple manufacturers, and it's somewhat undefined, and we're hoping that the new HRV will set the standard for this new growing segment.
Now, what does it compete with currently then?
So it's a little bit loose because the vehicles are somewhat diverse. I think maybe the Subaru Crosstrek, the Nissan Juke, and there's a couple of vehicles coming out from Chevrolet and Ford, I think, that might compete in that segment as well. But it's they're so different that it's going to take a little time for it to settle out and for people to really figure out who the competitors really are. So
let's talk about size. Give me an idea of where it falls. It's sort of an enlarged, an SUV or a CUV version of a Fit, that type of size, or is it smaller or is it bigger?
It's bigger than the Fit. I mean, it certainly shares some components with the Fit. I wouldn't say it's a larger version of the Fit. It does share the same sort of center gas tank layout that allows you to have the magic seats inside. But other than that, it has a different engine. It's longer. It's taller. It holds more stuff and has more capability, including all-wheel drive. So I wouldn't call it a bigger Fit. I might call it something in between a Fit and a CRV.
Now, I will tell you that from my point of view, this is actually a game changer for Honda. Amazingly styled, really well put together, an inside I haven't seen from Honda before, lots of new ideas here, and just fun, just a real fun vehicle. So what powers it under the hood?
So it's basically the same engine that you would get in a Civic sedan. It's available either with the same engine, but two different transmission choices. There's a CVT transmission, which is very, very efficient. And then there is an available 6-speed manual transmission on the two-wheel drive models, which adds an extra dose of fun to a vehicle this size.
Now, do we know what the fuel economy is on this vehicle?
So the fuel economy, we do know. So for the two-wheel drive vehicles, I believe it's combined 31 miles per gallon. No, actually higher than that, like 35, I think. My numbers are not in my head, unfortunately, but the fuel economy will be class leading when the vehicle goes on sale later this year.
Now, I know you guys at Honda spent a lot of time on the interior of this vehicle to try and get the packaging right. So explain to me what's new about this interior.
so it's really all new because it's a whole new vehicle, but very stylish. It has touchscreen climate controls. It also has a very unique looking vent cluster on the passenger side dash that really helps airflow through the vehicle, but also is very stylish. It's somewhat reminiscent of in my mind, of the N600, which was the first vehicle that we sold here in the U.S. If you look back at that dashboard, it had vents kind of going across the dash as well. So it's got a little bit of retro, a little bit of modern, but very nice touch points and very comfortable and high tech.
I would also say the exterior styling is probably the most bold I've ever seen from Honda. Would you agree?
I don't know if it's the most bold we've ever done, but it certainly does catch people's eyes. And I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it yet, which is, it's hard to get into that mode. Some people with their vehicles will say they're too conservative at other times or too bold, but this one seems to have hit the sweet spot right in between. And I think it's attractive to both men and women, and I think it'll do well in this segment.
Now, the next generation of Ace body structure is what this vehicle is built around. How is it improved? Because I thought, the Ace body structure, clearly one of the safest shells for drivers to be inside, but they, according to the press materials, you guys made some improvements.
Yeah, so Ace was originally envisioned as a body structure to help small vehicles and large vehicles match up better in collisions so that you didn't have to be quite as afraid of all of those big vehicles driving around when you're driving a small car. And basically what we did to improve it, starting with the 2013 Accord and then moving forward, is we added a little bit of extra structure to it to allow it to score well in the IHS small overlap test. And this is basically hitting a small barrier like a tree or a pole or another car with maybe 25% of the front of the car, sort of the side glancing sort of blow, which is a very serious accident usually. And for a small car or any car to perform well on those tests, it's very difficult. So this new Ace body structure is designed to allow cars to reduce the likelihood of injury in those types of crashes.
Okay, who's going to be buying this vehicle?
So I think it's going to be a wide range, but of course, our target would be, the typical Gen Y millennials, young people. It's very attractive for simply because it's a nice-looking vehicle, has lots of capability, and it also has all the high-tech amenities inside that you would want, all the connectivity to phones, and an app-based display audio system that is really second to none in this class. And then, of course, there will be the Gen Xers like me who see it as a great option. And empty nesters who lead active lifestyles, I think, will like it as well. So it's got a very broad base, just because it's very capable. It has all-wheel drive as an option, which makes it a good option for the Pacific Northwest and for the Northeast, where there sometimes is a factor as well.
Chris Martin from Honda, thank you so much. This car gets a big thumbs up from us. It goes on sale soon and price to be announced. You're listening to TestMiles on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.
Live from our studios in downtown Portland on a Sunday morning, this is America's Car Radio Show. We'd like to thank you for being part of the Car Nation. For more fun facts about cars, visit our Facebook page at TestMilesENtertainment.com.
Here's a fun fact you can impress your friends with. The Volvo Car Company was officially founded on April 14th, 1927. The first car they manufactured is called the Jacob.
Ollie's been practicing his fun fact all morning. We won't go into it. All right, what's a Roadster? Well, according to Wikipedia, a Roadster is an open two-seater car with emphasis on sporting appearance or character. Initially, an American term for a two-seater car with no weather protection. Now, usage has spread internationally and has evolved to include two-seater convertibles. The Roadster is also a style of racing driven in cars in the United States by United States Auto Club, or USAC. IWC Championship racing includes the Indianapolis 500 in the 1950s and 60s. The style of race car was superseded by mid-engine cars. Now, the 9th annual Salem Roadster Show comes to the Oregon State Fairgrounds March 7th and 8th, and joining us on the phone to tell us more about it is Greg Roach. Greg, welcome to the show. You have more than roadsters at your show, don't you?
Yes, we do. Yeah, we just used that name because it sounded good. How's that?
I don't know. It's sexy. I like it. I want to drive one. It sounds good.
Yeah, we've got hot rods, classics, oddballs, just a little bit of everything.
I like the name Oddballs. What's an oddball?
Well, we have a Hiawatha, which is a little scooter, and that's, to me, is kind of an oddball. And we've got some, I might offend some people, but we have a couple 41 Lincolns, and you wouldn't think those as hot rods, but people hot rod anything anymore, and they're a couple of beautiful cars, one coming out of California, and a few other things that are just kind of a little bit odd for a hot rod. All
right, so now the Roadster Show is invite only, is that correct?
That's correct.
So how does that work?
Well, we travel from British Columbia to California, Idaho, of course, Washington and Oregon, and we go to all the cruise-ins and a lot of the indoor car shows, and then we handpick and invite the cars that we want to come to our show. We also don't have any repeats. This is our 9th year, and we've had about 3 repeats to this point because the people changed their car enough that they made them look different.
All right, so no cars returning year after year. So where are the cars from this year's show from?
They're we have a dozen out of California, and I think we have like 23 or 4 out of Washington, a couple out of Idaho, and the rest out of Oregon. Now, I have to change. We had a little snow problem last year at our show. That was
we're a little familiar with that.
Yeah, that was the weekend of the big snowstorm. So we do have a few cars returning from last year. We invited them back. They traveled a long ways, and obviously, when you have 14 inches of snow on the ground, you don't have very many people attend the show, so we've invited a few back this year. But that was just because of the fact that they kind of wanted to come back and see the show.
And one of the things you do differently, I think, than a lot of the shows is there's no trophies. It's not a contest or anything. It's just for pure enthusiasts, right?
Yeah, my business partner and I have our own cars, and we went to car shows for many years, and there's always either a politics involved or more than likely perceived politics involved. And we decided we didn't want to do that. And so we decided we'd buy them a nice jacket, an expensive jacket, and everybody get the same thing. If you have a $300,000 car or you have a $20,000 car, you still get the same thing and get treated the same way.
Oh, so let's talk about that. What are the values of these cars? What does it range from?
Oh, I guess $300,000 or $400,000 down to 20, roughly. I mean, I'm sure I don't think the Hiawatha scooter's worth $20,000, but probably in that range someplace.
And so what are we seeing as far as a $400,000 car? Give me a picture of one of those vehicles.
Well, we've got 41 Willys that is just dynamite. We've got 2 Grahams that are, I'm sure, nobody will tell you exactly what they put into them because I think we're all embarrassed by the money we spend on these things. But they're very expensive cars. 55 Nomad out of Southern Oregon that it's probably got a $50,000 paint job on it.
And people can come see all the cars and...
Right.
And how much is it to get in, and how do they get tickets?
Okay, it's $11. Just buy tickets at the door. $11 for adults. Through age 17 are free all weekend. And then on Sunday, we do ladies admitted for $5 only on Sunday.
All right. Brad's just going through his wig collection now to see if he can get in for $5 on a Sunday.
And, there's no senior citizen rate?
No, we talked about senior citizen, but about 90% of our people are senior citizens. So,
so there's no point. Are these Greg, are these cars individually owned, or are they sort of owned by shops or companies?
No, I think almost every one of them is individually owned. A lot of times the shop will, we got several shops that are represented here, but they're owned by individuals.
Now, if you're thinking of if an individual is thinking that they might want to get into the Roadster restoration business, first of all, they've got to have plenty of money, it sounds like. But second of all, they're going to get good information about how these people restored their cars, or is it all big trade secrets?
No, I think people are, we find at our show, because there's no competition, that the car owners seem to be a lot friendlier than they are when they're competing against each other. So I think a lot of them are willing to talk, and we've got several vendors that are car shops that are builders, and they're represented at our show, and so you can talk to them and get some information from them also.
Now, tell me where people can go to get a little more information about the show.
Well, they can go to our website is www.salem-roadstershow.com. They can find out a little bit about there, and there's some galleries of some of the previous shows. That's probably the best way to do it.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're encouraging people to go to the show again. For anybody that missed it, it's at the Salem, the Oregon State Fairgrounds in Salem, the March 7th and 8th, and tickets are $11. If you're under 17 years of age, Zhenya, you can get in for free, and all the cars on display. How many cars in total there, Greg?
There'll be about 104 or 5 in the show, plus the vendors have some cars, so there's probably 110 altogether.
Excellent. 110 cars, some of the best Roadster and even oddball cars that are on for sale, that are up for show.
And I think one thing we didn't talk about is a lot of the proceeds go to assist charities. Which ones are
what
those?
we do is we have Kiwanis, and we have Shriners, and we have Roberts School that we donate about almost $2,000 worth of free vendor space so they can raise some money. So that's how we do our charities.
Greg, thanks so much for coming on and talking to us about the Salem Roadster Show. Everybody knows now where to go get the information, and we'll look forward to finding out from our team that are going to go down there at some of the cars they saw. Coming up on Test Miles, we have our weekly quiz. We'll be asking the team in the studio how well they know all the automotive news that's been going on over the week, and there's been quite a debate before the show, so it looks like it's going to be a lively quiz coming up this week. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101.
We'd like to keep you informed all week long. Just follow us on Twitter at testmiles.com.
Oh, Nick, here's a fun fact that can impress your friends. Land Rover have been around 30 years longer than the company has. Land Rover built their first car back in 48, and back then they were just called Rovers. Land Rover as a company wasn't founded until 1978.
There you go. Fun fact to impress your friends. Whether a part of the show is here where we test the knowledge of our in-studio team. How much of the car industry news have they been following this week? Which means it's time to play this week's news quiz. All right, guys, you ready? Ready with your buzzers?
Yes.
All right, here is the first question for you. There is a new GT racer in the world this week. Who makes it? Holy.
I believe you're talking about the AMG GT3 car
Yes,
that was
yes.
just unveiled in Geneva.
That's right. The Geneva, ahead of the Geneva Auto Show, which I don't think starts until this Monday.
Right. I mean, well, I guess it's going to make its appearance there. The news came out that it's going to be there, but yeah, they're going to race in the GT3 series with it, with the new, well, I guess it's the AMG GT3.
Right. Right.
That car looks awesome, too.
It does
I
look
want
awesome.
one as a street car.
Isn't it interesting that luxury car manufacturers are really plowing into racing? You know, Dodge pulled out of racing this year, but all these guys are getting into racing a lot more. Racing seems to be a really, really important part. Bentley back in racing, you know, for a couple of years now. Everybody, it's all about getting back into racing. All right. If you're one of 250,000 people who are having your car recalled for a power steering issue, who makes your car? Sean?
That would be Hyundai with the Elantra.
Hyundai like Sunday.
Hyundai like Sunday. No, 250 people are losing power steering controls, which makes the vehicle harder to steer, especially if you're not used to driving a car without power steering anymore.
Do we know what years they're recalling?
I don't offhand.
All right. So if you have a Hyundai Elantra, you probably want to go put it into the EPA's site. Is it the EPA? No, the National Highway Transport Administration who do it. Go to their site and you can put in your vehicle information. It'll tell you.
I did just find out. It's 2009 to 2010.
All right. So if you have one of those years Hyundai Elantra, go check whether you have a power steering option problem. Which automaker had $12.1 billion profit last year?
We got that?
Oh, Brad.
I beat you. I beat you.
Oh,
that was it.
I heard Brad first.
All right.
All right, Brad.
Volkswagen Group.
Yes.
And they were up 20% over the last year. They had $2.8 billion in sales revenue. A 2.8% increase So $226 billion in revenue. And
So $12.1 billion. What's that percentage?
That's like 18%.
No, it's not that much. 12 out of 200.
Whoa, this isn't a math show. This is a car show.
It's like 5%. 12 out of 281.
12 would be...
Out of 281, 10 would be...
You're right.
Yeah,
Fine.
it's like 5%, something like that. Which isn't, I like to see 30% profit coming your way, VW.
That's how we get 60 miles per gallon on some of these cars we drive. We can't do math.
Because Brad does the math. That's how it works. All right, next question. Who is planning on revealing a trailer that will have its own Wi-Fi hotspot and touchscreen display at the Geneva Auto Show? Who, Zhenya? That was a new sound for you, Zhenya.
Yes, it was. I believe that is Jeep with the Renegade hard steel concept. It's one of the most interesting features about this concept that's supposed to debut in Geneva, I believe tomorrow or Tuesday, is it's got a trailer that looks exactly like the rear end of a Jeep Renegade. But what's really cool about it is it's got a massive touchscreen television inside it that's like an internet Wi-Fi hotspot with like Facebook, Twitter, TomTom Live.
You'd never come out of the yard, would you?
No, I wouldn't. I'd just sit outside looking at the stars and just on Facebook all day. YouTube.
Playing car games on a car.
Netflix.
If you don't know, I talk to Zhenya's parents on a regular basis, and the guy logs more YouTube hours than anybody else in the United States, any other individual. All right, yes, so a new trailer for the Jeep Renegade. Which car manufacturer thinks they will have 10% of the U.S. market share by 2017? Sean.
That's going to be Nissan. They're hoping with all their whole new lineup with the Nissan Titan, Rogue, Murano, the new Maxima that should be coming out here soon, they're going to take over the market.
By 10%, which isn't a bad share to actually have. Nissan doing really well. They kind of, we talked at the Chicago show to their new marketing guy who actually came from Disney. So all the cars are going to start to look like Disney characters.
Are they all going to look the same? And
I saw the mirrors on the new Murano. They look very much like Mickey's ears.
They're going to make princess cars now?
You know something? Let me just tell you. If you made a princess car, you would have no trouble selling it.
They make princess bikes and lunchboxes. Trust me, I'm well aware of the princess.
You're a daddy of a princess?
Yes.
Okay. I won't ask which child it is. Low gas prices send what type of car sales tumbling? Brad.
So electric cars and hybrid vehicles are going down in value, although if gas prices are any indication this last week that went 40 cents up, that may change. But the electric cars are plummeting in value. So more than $2,000.
How short is our memory? I mean, how short is our memory?
What did you say? I can't remember.
Yes, exactly. Not yours, Brad, everybody's. How short is America's memory? I just see the sales of large trucks and SUVs going through the roof. And guess what? When it's up to 450 gallon,
So here's an interesting question. Would you think that a pre-owned electric car would have super low miles on it because people have the range anxiety, they're not driving as far? That could be a really valuable car to get.
Yeah, and that there is no way that you could put on more than 100 miles a day. It's not technically possible.
Right.
I mean, which is probably a lot, actually, 100 miles a day.
But I think with electric cars, there is the glitch in the armor. You can drive them backwards and take the miles off like Ferris Bueller.
It is technically possible to get more miles, though. You can do a quick charge. I mean, it only takes 15 minutes to charge one of those vehicles.
But I mean, technically, by the time you've done 100 miles, I mean, you could, but you'd be up for like 12 hours a day driving. Charging, be out of the house. Interesting concept. I know that Nissan are having a problem now because the Leaf, the secondhand value is dropping like crazy because the technology was one of the first and they're so old in a sense too. They take so long to charge. Right. JD Power dependability study is out. Who wins? Who loses? Oli.
I think the top overall winner was Lexus. GM did really well in a lot of the segments, but overall they're not one of the top fives as a manufacturer. You have Buick up there in the top five, Cadillac, Honda, and Porsche. I think Porsche and Honda are actually tied for that fifth spot as far as overall reliability. And on the downside, you have, Fiat was the worst, Land Rover second, Jeep, Mini, and then Dodge.
We have debated this for hours because one of the cars that put GM in that top was the Malibu.
Yeah, it won the midsize for reliability.
But the trouble with the Malibu is, and here's what the flaw we found is, you got to, it's complaints. So if you don't sell any, no one's going to complain about it. I mean, the Malibu is a car that should sell a lot more than it does.
And I think Lexus Toyota owners complain less than anybody because they already preconceived that their cars are better.
All right. So how does that work with Land Rover then?
I think people buy those expecting.
I'm just
problems.
not. I'm not buying this.
People actually do the negative reviews on them before they take possession.
I'm not buying any of it. All right, you listen to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. Thanks for listening. You can go to our website, testmiles.com, get all the latest automotive news, and of course, contact us with your opinions. We've got them. We love to hear yours. I'm Nick Miles.
Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.